broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. If this is your first time tuning in, WCZR is an independent streaming rock station based out of Appleton, Wisconsin. We play a ton of local music, a ton of mainstream music. We mix it all together, and you cannot tell the difference. If you haven't given us a chance, seriously, tune in for 20 minutes. I guarantee you'll be happy. If you're not happy, I can give you Bob Minter's phone number. You can call Bob. We've got a special show here today. This is a panel show, so it kind of a little more freewheeling than in the past. How it's going to work is we're going to talk about anything. I'd like to welcome Tom Thiel. How you doing, Tom?
Excellent. Good to see you.
I'd like to welcome Michael Grabner.
Hello.
And last but not least, I'd like to welcome Kurt Gunn.
Hi. So we can see ourselves now.
Right? Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
It's better before.
We'll quickly talk to Tom about a new single that you sent. You didn't really release it though, but you sent it. You sent it to the Code Zero station. We appreciate that. Can you tell us a little bit about the single and why the big rollout?
Yeah, the big rollout, like I always do. I've been working on new songs for a new record, and I just really haven't been doing anything with them. Like I know you've been putting out a lot of singles, and that's, I think, probably the way to go. But I still like releasing a whole record at the same time, so I'm kind of holding on to some of those songs. But I thought I'd send you guys one because you're cool and always been so supportive, and I just wanted to get another one out there, and I thought you guys should have it first.
I appreciate that. And Michael Grabner, you also released a new song that came out today. That's and you've been, like Tom said, releasing singles. Mm-hmm. Is that going to eventually end up into an album?
It is, yeah. So, I've been trying to do a single every 8 weeks. It's usually turning into like 10 or 12, but, things get delayed, and that's okay. But yeah, eventually, this one that I put out today is number, it's 5 or 6, and after this one, I'm going to put out 4 more singles, and then I'm going to compile everything onto an album, and on the album there's going to be 3 tracks that I did not release previously. I came up with that idea in my head, and I'm like, sure, that sounds okay. And, that way there's some, surprise for people who want to purchase the album or give it a listen, and hopefully I can do like a proper release show and everything at that time, but it will be a decent amount of time before that happens, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. And
so are we. And Mr. Kurt Gunn, you've got a double album that you are planning. What's the double album? What made you decide you wanted to release
Well, it's not
albums?
necessarily a double album. It's just going to be 2 albums separately released.
And it's north facing and south facing.
South facing is the acoustic one. And that's one that I've had like in the vault since 2021. For whatever reason, I just have kind of been hanging on to it. I think because it's special to me, and like the timing was never right. Like I've always found an excuse, like, oh, it's not yet, or maybe I should put a band on it, and I'm like, no, I should just keep it how it is, just kicking around, and then I would just forget about it. And then when we started north facing, I kind of came up with the idea then to basically I wanted to clear like my inbox of like albums that I had sitting in storage. So like I have the north facing one, which is all electric with the band, and then I would release the polar opposite, basically, which would be south facing, the all acoustic one. And I figured there's no better time, like just do it, get it over with, get it out there. And yeah, that's kind of that's kind of it.
This show's gonna be a lot of me just staring at you guys. Like,
Yeah, no, I have kids. They stare at me all the time.
Tom and Michael, I noticed your singles. "Breaking My Bones" was Tom's, and Michael, yours is "A Trip Around the Sun." A little more away from the Americana like feel, more towards like a rocking vibe. Was that intentional? Are you guys looking to reinvent yourself at this point, or just looking to do something different?
I just, I keep telling people I'm trying to write more band songs. And I guess it's really just another way to write a song. Sometimes you start with lyrics or sometimes a melody. Most of the time it's just like a guitar hook or a guitar part. When I say guitar song, I just kind of think about it. I try to hear it first in my head. Like I imagine myself and the band playing somewhere, and what do I want to hear? And then I just kind of start from that approach. So it's just another direction to write songs, I guess. But it is intentional. I'm trying to write more things that go over better in a loud room. If you're playing somewhere at midnight and you're trying to play your singer-songwriter stuff and everybody's getting loud, and a lot of times it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to build up some more songs, some more material that'll work in those type of situations. So that was intentional, I guess.
I just try to never be playing it.
Yeah, ideally, that is
Generally a good goal.
Yeah.
You're doing some slide guitar work in there as well.
Yeah, and that kind of rubs off. I've been playing with the Jay Stulo band, and for a while I was playing guitar with him. We were a 4-piece, and now we're a 3-piece, and I play bass, but I get to watch him up close, and he's just a phenomenal slide guitar player, so it's rubbing off. I didn't think it would ever rub off because I wasn't a big blues fan for a long time, but all of a sudden I am. It gets you.
It's versatile. Like you can make it almost sound like a lap steel sometimes, and
Yeah.
Did Jay have any critique of your slide ability?
Oh God, I would hate to hear what he would have to say about some of the slide playing I do, but he's always supportive to my face. So.
And Michael, I mean, your single, you've been moving more into it. It's like country rock. Is that safe to say? Or rock with like a country ting in it?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I wouldn't say it's intentional, moving away from what I was doing, but I don't feel like the more I write, I want to try to do something new. I want to try to do something different. With this song in particular, it's actually about 4 years old, and it's really the production that's more, I think, more of a rock and roll feel versus the songwriting. But what I'm writing and plan on releasing going forward, I'd say it is more rock-oriented. Kind of moving away from the country part of it a little bit, just because of what I'm listening to and what I'm interested in writing. I'm listening to a lot of like the Beatles constantly. I'm kind of obsessed right now with the Beatles, and like I just like the kind of the kind of production and the kind of songwriting that that they do is what has been interesting me over the course of the last I don't know how long. So yeah, I think like alt country is probably a good label right now.
Your one you just released really reminds me of Whiskey Town, which is Ryan Adams'
band.
country band, and it was which I think is great.
Thank you.
Well, and you've got Marc Golde is pretty much your George Martins, all three of you guys. You all worked with Marc quite extensively, and I know Marc played on the new single. He played bass. What else did he do on that?
He played bass and lead guitar on that one. But yeah, on this series of singles that will eventually become an album, he's doing a lot. You know, I'm doing my acoustic guitar and my vocals, and Rick Armstrong is on the drums, and he's done everything else. So, you know, keys, organ, lead guitar, bass. He's doing it all.
Shakers.
Yep. Shakers. Claps. He does some clapping.
Jeez.
It's really, really amazing to, you know, I consider this whole project basically like a collaboration with him. You know, he's all over all these songs, and I'm very happy about that. He's great.
It's interesting how in the scene there's lots of people doing lots of things. I know, Tom, you play in Kurt Gunn and the Poor Town Proper.
The Kurt Gunn
Band. Dang it. Kurt
Woody
Gunn.
Larson.
Woody.
Yep.
You guys can roast me today. Okay, you play in the Kurt Gunn Band, and then we've got Rick, who plays also.
He plays in KGB. He plays in your band, and he'll play in any band. If you ask him, he'll play. He's the most reliable. Like he just yep. When I text him the group first show, he's always the first answer. Oh man.
Yeah.
Is it hard to find people like that you can depend on to do so many things?
Not necessarily. Like I understand we're all in different things, so it's always a beautiful surprise when everyone's like, "Yeah, I can do it." You know, you ever like feel like that? You're like, "I can do it." Yeah. But it is what it is. You know, when it works out, it works out.
Are you hoping to sell more of the North CD or more of the South?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm very fond of South facing, just because of like the time that I wrote it and that sort of thing. But North facing it's like, you know, if someone said, what kid do you love more? You know, so I don't love one more. I just love them differently. And north facing is something that I've never done, so that's exciting. It's more of like a band project, I guess, like a Paul McCartney and Wings, if you will. Like we all got in a studio, we all played for the most part all the instruments on it. Goldie's obviously done the keys and a few harmonies here and there, but it's just the four of us.
And Kurt plays electric.
Yeah, and I play
Guitar
electric
on
on the whole album, which I've never done before. So that was, I don't know. They both hold a special little spot right now.
How do you guys collectively feel about CDs? I know that, Kurt, you still print CDs. You have in the past, Tom, and I don't know if you're actually doing physical copies, are you, Michael?
Well, I've done it for my for the 2 albums that I've released, and I will end up doing it for this when it's all said and done. I don't know. People do still buy them. It's. I've definitely noticed it seems to be less and less
It's
as
almost
time goes
just
on.
for souvenirs.
Yeah.
They buy them, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a CD player. I don't own one.
I just bought Jerry X's box set, so
No, I need.
yeah, it's all CDs. But I don't know. I just print. What do I print? 200 of them, or 150, and that lasts me. I guess I could say forever. You know, you gotta have some for the release show for your 30 or 40 people that like your music, and they'll buy a CD, and you gotta have that available to them, and so it's pretty cheap to just do that.
What's your price limit when you're buying a vinyl or a CD from a band? Do you have a top floor limit?
On a record? Yeah, I don't know.
Let's do a record. I'll tell you mine is 20. I won't pay over 20.
Okay.
I was going to say 30. If I really like the band, I'd pay $30.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Usually, like, when we're playing with some, I don't know about you guys, but, like, there's a lot of trading going on. Like, I'll give you a CD and a T-shirt for your record, you know, or whatever. There's a lot of that happens.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But if you walk into a venue and you're not friends with the band and you don't know them,
I don't know. Yeah, I guess 2025.
I just take their stuff when they're not looking.
Yeah. I'm more apt to buy a hat, you know?
we've
I'm
got
more of a t-shirt guy
Yeah.
myself. Yeah, actually. I don't really steal people's merch.
we've got a question if you guys want to throw on the headphones.
Well, it's not really a question. It's more just a comment. It's for Thiel, and it's just you can't sell any merch if you leave it in your car.
Oh my gosh!
For Tom.
I know.
It applies
I'm so sorry.
to me
I'm
also.
so sorry.
What did she say? I took it off because she said it was for Tom.
Oh no.
You can't sell any merch if you leave your merch in the car. Was
Yeah.
the,
Yeah,
the
guilty.
comment.
Well, the last two shows I've
I bet
had.
you can't guess who this is.
Yeah, I know, and I am so sorry. But I've left my merch in the car. You know, I load in, I kind of hang out with everybody, and then we start. And I'm like, oh crap, my stuff is still out in the car. And I have new merch. I have shirts.
Do you have that moment, though, where you're at the car and your hand's on it and you're like, no one's going to buy anything.
I
today,"
do.
And you just leave it
I do.
there.
I'm like, is it
And then
really
that's
worth
the-
it?
And
Do I
that's the
set
night
this
that
up?
everyone wants something.
Yep.
Am I going to look
That
like a
just
jerk
happened to me.
opening my little merch case and I have lights in it and stuff? Are people going to like laugh at me?
Nothing more defeating than packing it all up at the end of the night and no one bought. You're
Right.
just flush with merch.
Do you have a certain feeling when you're like unloading the merch? Like you're just kind of, in a way, you're wondering if you're doing it for no reason.
Usually, the last few shows, I said, I have a suitcase over there. If someone wants something, let me know. I'll open it up and do all the stuff, but I'm not going to do all that if no one's going to buy anything.
Oh, and so you've got a suitcase for the merch. I know Tom's got a cool suitcase.
Mine's just one of those travel suitcases on wheels.
No,
But,
not
yeah.
a vintage or
No, just a Samsonite.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just have it's like a thrift store find. My grandma actually found it for like $5. I've been using it for about 5 years.
Nice.
It's been
It's a
it's
dollar
been
a
reliable, old reliable.
Yeah.
Does presentation matter when you're laying out merch? Do you feel the spot makes a difference?
Yes. I was playing with Sister Winchester at Gibson Music Hall, and they had this awesome display which took up, I think, 2 tables. And I had to like scrounge up a little lopsided table and set it next to theirs, which was pretty embarrassing. And it was dark over there, and I had like, 3 things on it, and they had different shirt designs, stickers. Amelia Ford is really
Yeah,
good.
I was just gonna
I
say-
was just gonna say
Yeah,
Amelia's
you
name.
ever
Shout
put your
out.
stuff out next to Amelia Ford? And I
feel
like
really
a
bad
loser
every time
immediately.
I-
Yeah,
I know. I've screenshotted it to try to copy some of the ideas. How
they've
she
got the
rolls
thing that you
shirts.
put your credit card in, the whole
my
9
God.
yards. Yeah,
It's unbelievable. It's honestly shout out to Amelia Ford. Her
Yes.
merch, her merch display is unbelievable.
it's top notch.
Yeah,
Yep.
So I realized that I need to do a better job. With mine, some people have stuff that like you can hang the T-shirts on
But
different
you gotta
height.
bring all that stuff. That's the only
Yeah, I
thing.
know,
It's like, I
right.
just don't want to do that. Walt hammered her. He's got like a T-shirt store when he plays. He's got all these racks and like 20 different T-shirt designs, and
He brought a cooler when he was over here, and he unpacked it and
Yeah.
had set up up there.
it just looks. I just can't. I just don't have it in me.
Well, do you feel if you put it closer to the stage, people are less likely to even look at it because they don't want to go look at it and then feel they have to buy something?
Yeah, I see that. Or they'll come up, like if they come up and look at it and you see them looking at it, and then they feel like kind of obligated, and then they just kind of disappear, like they're not going to buy anything, and that's fine. You can look, but I find it it's awkward for them, is what I think, if it's close by.
Right. Some people don't want to walk up
Right.
under the light, and everybody's watching them. What are they going to buy?
Yeah, and then they don't.
I was just thinking. I've seen some other acts where they have so much merch right on stage, like hangers with shirts hanging from some rack, like in front of the drums and things like that. And that's a little bit. It feels like you're at a sales convention at some kiosk and they're
Yeah.
selling shirts. But
See, this is a great topic for me actually, because I do keep my merch close to the stage. Because I kind of treat I drape my T-shirt over the briefcase, and then I think of that as this is my name. Here it is.
That's your banner.
Because I don't have a banner or anything. I don't want to do anything like that.
I don't know that I'll ever have one of those either.
Yeah, so it's both a banner and merch. But I never sell any of the merch, so maybe I'm doing something right.
It's a tough one.
And I don't want to push my merch all night. I can't do that. We have shirts and, I don't know. I feel dumb doing that.
Was it kind of a process to get yourself to order shirts, putting an investment of a couple to a few to more hundreds of dollars for something that you'll probably end up forcing yourself to sell or giving away to eventually get rid of it?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. When you get your first batch of T-shirts, and you post a picture, and everyone's like, oh, I want one, 50 people say, I want one. And you ordered 25, and you're like, oh, I should order more. And so you quick order another batch of T-shirts, and then none of the first 50 people that said they wanted one bought one. Now you got, $600 worth of T-shirts. So,
I just learned that you can't, or it's easy to underestimate the amount of shirts you're going to give away, because when I got some, of course, I'm going to give one to my dad, and then my daughter wanted one, and then some of her friends wanted one, and then they're just disappearing from my pile, and
you can't charge them. You can't charge
your
daughter.
Right, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I did barter some. My uncle, who does landscaping, delivered 3 yards of dirt. I just had to give him 2 shirts, but I haven't given to him yet. But I will.
When you have to give away freebies, are you a little disappointed when they want the popular size?
Oh yeah.
Picking the sizes, that's a tough one too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
went hard on smalls, and I thought that the smalls would sell, and then all I have is smalls.
I didn't get smalls with the run that I have right now, and I do get asked for them occasionally. I often feel like I should work more with my business acumen with the whole merch thing. And it is hard to make that initial investment. I've been kind of putting off getting some new stuff made. But yeah, I know when it really comes down to it, the money in the industry for, smaller independent artists is the gigs and the merch. And that's it. So yeah, I could probably stand to take some lessons from Amelia in particular, Sister Winchester.
I want a good shirt that someone's actually going to wear.
Yeah.
And then they can wash it more than once, and it's not a midriff. So you have to pay more for that, and it's like you talked about how much would you pay for a vinyl. It's like they cost a fortune to make, and like a T-shirt, so you got to price it to buy it. And then enough to order another run. You're not necessarily making any money on it because you're just making enough money to buy more T-shirts. I suppose eventually you would make money on it if you...
Well, you know how I always look at it. It's like you want to price them where people are going to wear them.
Right.
Because they're advertising for you, but you also want to sell them to pay off the ones you're giving away, which...
Yeah.
You want to at least break even, I guess. You're not looking to make money, just break even. Is Amelia, does she still have those placards or the cardboard table toppers with the QR codes on
I
them?
took a screenshot of her.
I think so.
Her merch display.
I just printed a thing the other day. Someone bought 2 T-shirts because I had the QR thing where they could just do to my Venmo. People are more apt to do that, I guess, than...
So much to learn besides just writing songs now.
Yes.
Let's talk about posting on social media. How much is too much to post? Is there a sweet spot?
Okay, for me, I do about 3 to 4 posts a week on Instagram and Facebook. I have tried. I'm trying with TikTok. I go back and forth with it, but I focus most of my energy on Facebook and Instagram, and I feel like much more than that, and it's diminishing returns, and people start to get sick of it. And I know that music business type stuff that I read says that you really should post like every single day, and like the people that you're annoying with constant posts aren't the people that you're like looking to connect with by doing that, right? It's about finding the new person. But I feel like I don't want to annoy people who are already interested in what I'm doing. So that's where I've landed with that, and I'm trying to do more reels on Instagram. That's really I guess like where a lot of artists are seeing more organic growth.
Those are the ones that disappear after 24
No,
hours
that's
or
the
whatever?
story.
Oh, okay.
A reel is just a video, really, on Instagram. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing you're doing, which I don't think would irritate people who already follow you, is you like post snippets of songs you're working on. Which, if somebody following you, probably you're kind of involving them in the process, and I think that's really cool and probably
That's
the way to go.
That's what I have been trying to do, and I actually stole that from Kurt. I think you did that during COVID. I think a lot of those songs ended up on Self-Facing, which are incredible songs. So I didn't, they talk about like you should do reels where you're just like lip syncing to your own song, and you should you should just do like the hook.
Don't
and
do it.
I can't. I'm sorry. I see it on Instagram and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can do that. So yeah, I mean, I like writing, and I feel like if I can take people into the process a little bit, I mean, I enjoy it, and I hope they do too.
I don't use my musician page whatsoever. I just, because of the algorithms and all that, I find it completely pointless. But I will use my personal page to share things. And I'm pretty sporadic. I can go a couple weeks without putting anything on there, and then one day I might put like 5 things on there. I don't know. I used to just share, like, my son would always sabotage. I'd be writing something, and when I work on something, I usually record it, so I can see what I'm doing, or just have it to look back at. And I got some good videos out of that where he'd come in and sabotage the video.
Well, you all have website URLs as well.
Yeah.
Which, it can direct those wherever you want. But as far as like content, so do you feel it's more important to have good content or more posts to get seen?
I think both are important. Like I said, I think there's such thing as too much, for sure. And I mean, as a person who's engaging with other people's content, I see where it can be too much, and I get like annoyed, and I don't want to see it anymore. And yeah, the quality is important too. Like, I mean, I've so much of this stuff I've just kind of learned, trial and error, trying different things, and I definitely don't do as good of a job as I could on a lot of the social media stuff, but yeah, I just I come up with an idea in my head like this might be cool, and I try that, and if it doesn't work, I just stop doing it, and so that's how I figure out what does work, I guess.
I found that there's days of the week that are better than other days.
Tuesday,
Like,
Wednesday,
forget
Thursday.
Forget Sunday.
Forget about the weekend in general.
Why does it have to be so hard?
I don't know.
It's really just kind of a drag talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the prime days, and between like 12 and 1 on Facebook and Instagram. Get people on their lunch hours, Yeah.
Let's change gears a little bit. So, can you guys each tell me about the first time you played Mile of Music and how it felt, and how do you feel about the festival today?
Well, you can go.
Sure. Okay, I'll start. My first mile was 2018, and yeah, it was incredible. I kind of, I think I said this when I posted about Mile this year. A huge part of my musical upbringing was seeing this festival, from the start to where it is now. I was just starting to get into songwriting and music around the time the festival was starting. It was, when I was like 19. And seeing that there was so much interest in original music in this community really, I think, inspired me to keep pushing to be a singer-songwriter. And yeah, so it was a real surreal almost thing when it got to the point where I played my first Mile of Music. And to me, I've had really great listening room shows at Mile, and there's just a special energy of people who are really there to actually hear the music. You get some of those shows throughout the year, at places like Stone Arch or Gibson, but to see 4 days of people just totally in it for the music like that, it's good for my soul. My Mile shows from last year carried me for months after that, thinking the writers round we did.
Oh, that was
in the basement.
That was really fun.
Yeah,
that was a special Mile moment.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
for me personally.
That's one of my favorite shows ever, with Jackson and Nicholas Raymond, I think, and the two of us.
Is there any talk of doing that again this year?
Not that I've heard yet.
They tend to throw a lot of last minute things together, and I think that's actually what that was.
That was. Yeah.
They were messaging us I don't know when we did it, Friday morning. Can you guys do this? And we're it all worked out. But
yeah, so I'd say maybe it's possible.
Yeah, you never know.
I would love to do. I would love to do something like that
really
again because
cool.
that was special. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I've always been a huge proponent of the Appleton music scene and all the musicians involved in the area and the musicians that come from out of town. I was asked to play in 2020, but it got canceled.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, I saved a date, but ended up doing the Bike to the Beat thing instead.
That's fun, though.
And then I've never actually played at the Mile.
But you played with me.
Well, I played with Kurt.
Yeah.
You know.
got a lanyard. That counts, right?
Right. I just got a
I didn't
text
know
from
that.
Dave Willems about playing one of the Mile Mondays at Basil's coming
nice.
up. So I still sort of feel like I'm a Mile artist.
Those are all year long. They have those things, that are Mile related, Rhythm Brews, the Courtyard
Series,
the Basil's on Monday. There's just a lot of events that go on throughout the year. The first Mile I did, Mile 3 was the first one I did, and it's come I think a super long way to where it is now. The first, and Tyler played the first one, right?
he did with his band at that time, the Relics. Yeah.
They've done a really nice job of educating the listener from Mile 3 to where it is today. They've added a ton more listening rooms. They've added where you can go to your Let's Be Loud venue. You can go to your we want to listen to singer-songwriter stuff. We want to stay outside all day. They have all their areas covered now which I think is really nice. I think I've heard Dave say you can make your mile be whatever you want it to be, so you can plan accordingly. Like, I don't want to go and be shoulder to shoulder in a bar, and you don't have to. So,
Who do we have to petition to get Tommy T out there?
This is news to me.
Yeah, well, and I like going. I live right downtown, so I just walk, and I don't mind going in some of the bars at night and checking out stuff. So whether I play there or not, I'll always be there. And oh no, I won't be playing with you this year.
No, not this year.
Jesus.
Well, we were talking about Amelia's her merchandise and how good she does, and I've got Amelia on the phone. How are you doing, Amelia?
Hey, I'm doing great.
So these guys I've got Tom Thiel, Michael Grabner, and Kurt Gunn here, and we're talking about merchandise.
Is she calling to sell T-shirts on our...
Right.
Well,
Gosh, she is good.
we were talking about merchandise, and everybody is just impressed with how you merchandise. Like, what are your secrets?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I mean, first off, thank you. I guess, I don't know if there's a secret. There was a process. I hired someone on Fiverr to make my logo and choose my brand colors. So I think just starting with a strong brand and forcing yourself to stay in those parameters helps the look of everything for the long term.
Well, I even noticed, this is Tom, you have your shirts rolled up and the little tags are sticking out so you can see what size they are. And I think you've got color-coded, like little wrappers.
I stole that from her. Yeah, I
it's
saw
brilliant.
that.
It's
Played her
brilliant.
a cup of joy. I stole that one. Saves space on packing,
Yeah,
too.
I did.
Well, you have Sean as well.
Let me
I mean,
tell you-
Sean is a huge asset.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
Truly.
cannot be said enough. Sean is doing so much, running the sound, running the merch, and really just being the brain behind the technical things kind of across the board. Yeah, we hand rolled the shirts, and it took like an entire day.
Wow.
But let me tell you, this maybe is a secret or a pointer, is when you roll them with the tags sticking out so that you can always see that shirt size.
Amelia, this is Michael. Hello. I was gonna ask you, where do you stand on like the where the merch sits in proximity to the stage? I feel like I remember seeing you at what's the place on Northland in Appleton? I'm blanking.
Oh, Hop Yard.
Hop Yard, thank you. And you had your merch really at the opposite end of the place as to where you were playing. Is that kind of your general way of doing it?
Well, no, okay. We're kind of looking for one of two things when we set up merch. So one is, can it be in a high traffic area where people will have to walk right by it? So the one would be, is it noticeable? But the reason you saw it in the back that day is because a second thing we're going for is it in a location where Sean can run sound and still make sales or still answer questions? And so we found that people are much more likely to come up to a merch table if someone is there.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So
Yep.
if you put it right next to you on the stage, then people get all weird like, oh, I don't want to walk up there. She's playing, he's playing, whatever. But if you have it in the back, it almost seems sort of comforting. So you know, to come back there and just chat and no one will be looking at you. And so it's kind of a risk-reward thing of, do you want it to be seen or do you want it to have more of a comforting feel of like, hey, come over here. No one will bother you over here.
That spot makes sense there too, because that was actually like, that's right where you have to order drinks and everything there. So it kind of worked on both fronts there.
Yeah, exactly. That's for real.
I need
It's
a
like
merch
a
person.
gem spot at that location.
Well, Amelia, I'd like to thank you for letting us pick your brain for a minute. Congratulations on the 2024 WAMI for Alternative Rock Performer of the Year. And nice work on Into the Music, interviewing Rob. That turned out nice. And if anybody wants to see that, you can find it on Into the Music.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you, Andy. It was cool to pop on here for a second. I'm excited to see how this all comes about here with you guys on there chatting.
Look, don't get your hopes up too high.
Yeah, seriously. Good to hear your
anyway.
voice, Amelia.
Take care, Amelia.
Oh, thanks. Yep, bye-bye, guys.
Well, that was nice. A little different
Oh my
there.
gosh.
Yeah.
That was some good stuff.
Right.
Honestly.
So, as far as when you guys are writing new songs, I find it fascinating how much work you guys put out, because some bands, it takes like 4 years. They put out an album, sometimes longer than that, and you guys are constantly writing. So to get in the mind of a songwriter, are you writing as a exercise every day? Are you picking up the guitar every day?
I am not. I rarely do anymore. Like most of North Facing were songs from storage. Like I had a few
Songs from
new
storage,
ones.
I love that.
I had a few new ones that are sprinkled in there, but not necessarily like ones maybe I didn't finish that were 3/4 done or something like that. I would just pull from that and kind of finish them up or rewrite them to fit the theme. I used to write regularly, and it just doesn't seem to be time or necessarily even interest right now to do that. And I never have been a proponent of forced writing, because all it does is force garbage, I think. But for me, so I don't know. Although we've been doing writing sessions we get together at 2 winters ago now. Did we start doing that?
Yeah.
We get together in a room and try to write a song an evening, and that was pretty good. That was fun.
Yeah.
I think we got some really good material. We really need to get back together, honestly.
This fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the following winter we repolish it because we don't touch any. Everyone's
We forget
busy
the
during the
song.
summer, and then maybe this year we'll record a couple of them or something. Yeah.
And that's the goal. For me, I do make a practice of writing. I pick up the guitar every night. I try to for at least an hour, and it does force garbage.
But that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's good.
It does. That's what. I only about 10% of what I write.
Just knowing that it's garbage.
Yeah, I know.
You're
Yeah.
learning. Like,
Yeah.
nope, this is bad.
Yep. Yep. So like, honestly, 90% of all the songs I've ever written, like, no one ever hears. I mean, that's the truth. And I feel like, picking up the guitar every night and trying to create something, it keeps me in a creative headspace, and I have I'm there right now, but there's a lot of it fluctuates, right? Like I've been making that effort over the course of the last 6 months, I would say, and there's times where there's months at a time where I don't write.
When you're writing, are you coming up are you just picking up the guitar and coming up with a riff, or do you have a lyric in mind when you pick up the guitar and base it around that?
It usually starts with the guitar. It starts with coming up with a riff, maybe a bit of a chord progression, and then I start trying to find a vocal melody from that chord progression. And usually I have at least a finished verse chorus structure before I even think about the lyrics. That's changed over the years too. I used to write lyrics first, like when I first started writing. That part came easier to me. But yeah, that's kind of how I do it now. And then I'll have like 3 verse chorus things like written, and then I have like a bridge night where I just try to write bridges, which is always fun. And I think being in a different headspace when I'm writing the bridge is helpful, because I like it to be a little bit of a departure from the rest of the song. So that's what I'm doing lately. And I like to write late at night, and because I feel like my subconscious is doing more of the work, and I feel like that's a better place for me to write. So. That's my process.
Yeah, I go in spurts. I think, like everybody, when you're kind of in a lull, you're not really doing anything. But once you start working on a project, like once I started coming up with some guitar parts for Kurt's North Facing,
Incredible guitar parts.
thanks. Then you kind of get fired up and you get more in the zone, and then things at home start going a little bit better. I start writing more things, and I have a ton of spare song parts laying around, and all different tunings. And usually what happens is if I can get two different ideas to meld together, it's all of a sudden I have something that's a little more extraordinary than just a regular song. If I have like two strong parts, it'll kind of take it to the next level, and then I'm usually inspired to finish it. And once I'm inspired to finish it, I can usually bang it out pretty quick, but it takes a long time to get there. Otherwise, I'm just kind of messing around with parts and lyrics. Lyrics I just kind of do on my phone, laying there. I used to write. I used to write a lot in the car. In the car driving, like I'd be playing in Milwaukee every week, years ago, and I just come up with lyrics and start singing things in the car. And now I don't do those gigs as far away anymore, and I work from home, so I'm like rarely in my car. So it's kind of my main source of inspiration. Being alone in my car has kind of been cut off a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Alone time is
do you,
huge.
Do you just like put on like your voice recorder or whatever, and then just record yourself singing in the car? Is that how you did it?
I've done that. Those are awkward to listen to.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, super awkward. I'll just sing, and usually it starts with a song that's on the radio, kind of a little bit quiet. I remember reading about Jimmy Page would play his stereo in the backyard. He lived in a mansion, so he'd be in the front yard and could barely make out the music that was playing in the backyard. And he'd come up with ideas that way. Like he couldn't hear it quite well enough to know what he was listening to.
It's interesting.
But he would kind of come up with ideas. So I do that. The radio's kind of quiet. And I start singing over the top of whatever's playing. And then I'll come up with an idea. And then I turn on my phone and I'm singing in my car like a maniac. So
It's weird to me that you can like come up with lyrics not playing the song, because for a fresh song, I'd almost think I would need to hear the chords. And I've seen your set lists, and you typically have like the key. Are you able to change keys on songs at will, or is that just for your benefit of?
Well, kind of when I started playing in open tunings, when I was playing in Boxcar, we had two songs that were in open G. And numerous times we'd get done with one of those songs in open G and go right into the next song, and I'd have to just wing it. Like whatever was next on the list, I'm playing that song in open G now. So I just got comfortable with it, so where I could play in that tuning. And so it's difficult to switch keys unless I just do it with a capo. Then it's easy for me, not so much for the bass player. But
How do you guys feel about capos? Everybody's on board?
I love them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a proponent. What I'm writing recently, I've been sticking more without them, but I mean, I have lots of songs that are capoed all the way up to the 7th fret. I like the sound of a really high capoed guitar, especially when I'm doing like fingers picking solo stuff. Yeah.
Gives me 7 chances to start a song with a G chord.
You mean any key you want?
Yeah. No shame in. I don't care.
There is no shame in that, honestly.
So I was trying to think of something fun to do, and I thought that would be fun to ask you guys some questions and see who you guys would vote. There's like a board game that's similar to this.
Love it.
So let's see here. Out of the three of you, who would be the most likely to forget lyrics during a live performance?
Tom
Thiel.
Hey, Tom, again, you did very good at the WAMIs. Let's talk about that before the show started.
Yeah, that was
But
awesome.
That was
Thanks.
great.
You and
I didn't
Ryan
even know
and-
you guys were playing there. I was like, hey, Tom's here.
Yeah.
Hey, he's playing bass.
it was kind of last minute for us. But yeah, I thought that first set went really well, and that was our first time playing with Adam Hatton on drums.
He was great.
Yeah, that was it was fun. For example, we'd play songs between awards being given away.
Sometimes you'd have to stretch it out quite a bit while they're figuring out if people were there.
Yeah. And for example, like when there was an award for Music Fan of the Year, I knew a couple of the nominees. Like Steve Smits is a huge Kansas fan. So I'm like, well, what Kansas song can we do? We're trying to figure that out. Zoe.
Iron Maiden.
Right. Or Judas Priest, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Judas Priest.
Yeah, we're like, what Judas Priest song can we play? So we had a couple backup songs depending on who won. And so that was kind of fun.
So you
Kept it
guys
interesting.
picked Lady Madonna for me. What was that?
Well, you looked pretty good that day. So
Yeah, Kurt, you got your award towards the end of the night.
Yeah,
Very end of the
I
night.
was
Yeah.
actually leaving. Yeah,
So obviously you were surprised. You didn't. know
I
your-
did. Was not. No, I wasn't expecting that. Not at all.
Did you have anything planned in case you won?
No, zero.
Oh, that was off the cuff, what you said?
Yeah.
It was great. It was my favorite.
I just remember I
speech
was
of the night.
walking up there. I said, "Thank your wife, thank your wife, thank your wife." You know, and that's what I came up with. There.
It was really great.
Yeah,
It was
thank you.
an awesome speech.
Did you buy your award yet?
Oh no, we have till we got to do that.
Can I buy one with your name on it?
I guess.
Like if that.
Yeah, you could. I mean, according to the website, you could just buy all of them if you wanted them.
That'd be kind of cool.
You could have a shelf behind me.
Yeah,
Just
look
like-
at these all, and you can put your name. Like you could just alter it too. I think to put your whatever name you wanted on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
A clean sweep
don't
of
know.
every whammy.
I don't know how vetted it is.
Did you guys meet anybody at the WAMIs that you hadn't met before in the music industry?
It seems I only run into Mojo Perry at those things, and it's always really nice to shoot the bull with him.
Mojo's awesome.
Yeah. No, I didn't really meet. Maybe I did. I can't remember though.
It all becomes, in a thing like that, it just becomes like a blur.
Yeah.
That kind of social situation where there's so many different people. I mean, there's so many people that. The coolest thing about it was like the amount of people that I did know all in one room together in the music industry. Like you don't get that very often.
I ran into Eric Johnson and full,
glam band,
full glam band.
regalia.
I haven't seen him in a while, and it was good to see him. And yeah,
And Tom, you're pretty much in a cage
Yeah.
for most of it.
Yeah,
until
I was
after.
stuck off on the side. I thought they said there was going to be beer in a cooler there, and there was not. But
Oh boy.
All right, so out of the three of you, who would be the most likely to pull a prank on another band member?
Gosh, I don't feel like any of us would be
Yeah, I
inclined
know.
to do that.
we got to step up our game.
Yeah. Which, does that mean we're not fun?
I don't know.
Out of the three of you, who would be the most likely to collaborate, to start a collaboration with another musician?
I would say Kurt, because he did that with both of us.
Right. And multiple other people.
and others, yes.
Kurt, how many bands are you up to now? 4?
Well, there's. Do you count myself and Kirk on band as two? Like, would that
Yes.
be two? Okay, so
Yeah.
myself, Kirk on band, Port Town Proper, Girl in the Gun,
Brothers
the
Gunn.
Brothers Gun. Yeah,
Jeez.
and we got a thing that might happen.
Oh, it's going to
You
happen.
know,
Yeah.
I don't know when or what we're gonna call it, but
So that was 6, if anybody was counting.
That's a lot. That's a lot of bands.
yeah.
And you've got something coming up this Saturday at the historic Crystal Ballroom in St. John. Can you tell us about that? That's Smile music related.
That's Girl in the Gun, and we're opening for
I've got it here. I'll
something romance.
yeah, it's
Flagship romance.
that's it.
Yeah. And I don't see. I'm terrible at this stuff. I say yes to things. I tend to not like research it because I don't want to go in.
Knowing what's going on.
Yeah. I was like
Too prepared.
no. I used to look at people I'd open for, and then I'd get all like, "Oh shoot, this guy's really good," or
Right, like
So
getting in your head
I don't
about
look
it,
at that at all. And And I just learned that this is like Eric Krieger's place, and I saw a picture of it.
Oh.
And it looks amazing, and it looks like a really cool room to perform in, and it's probably going to sound amazing. Had kind of that heist look to it, like just big and
awesome.
So,
Well, if people are interested in going, if you're the top tier music maker, you can go for free. If not, I think tickets are $15.
yeah.
It's Saturday, June 15th at the Crystal Ballroom in St. John, which is just outside of Sherwood. It's 2 p.m. So everybody complaining about how they want more early
That's
shows,
perfect,
this is one to go to.
Ideal.
And Girl in the Gun. I
Yeah.
enjoy Girl in the Gun. You guys sometimes whip out songs from like your solo stuff, which I like.
we share, we play a lot of my stuff, and then we play a lot of, but we play it differently. We'll even change lyrics a bit. We like to take covers and make them unique to our style, and then we have a good time together, and I think that we have kind of a special, I don't know what you would call it. People seem to like our chemistry.
Yeah. Your on stage banter is always fun,
we
and
kind
your
of argue.
voices
There's a lot of arguing.
are so good together.
Your version of Kansas City that you two do is better than the actual recording with Marcus Mumford. It is. The harmonies just make it.
Well, she's probably one of the best at harmony that I've come across.
Yeah.
She really has a gift for it, like almost like a David Crosby gift, where they just like, I have to try really, really hard to harmonize with someone.
It's not a
Just
skill that I
can't do
have.
it.
I'm not good at it.
And she's on a lot of albums, and for people in the Valley, she's on. Is she on any of yours?
She did Horace.
She's
She's on Horace
She's on
Green, I
mine.
think.
She's Horace Green. Some other people. I don't know that she. Marc calls her a lot to do vocal work. So yeah.
We had a question here. The world wants to know boxers or briefs.
I rotate. I have both. Today it's boxers.
I cannot wear boxers. Just can't do it. I don't enjoy that kind of freedom. So I'm a boxer brief.
Boxer brief all the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a combination.
I'll just third that. Why not? So,
Yeah.
Hey, is there anybody in the scene that you guys would love to collaborate with that you haven't already?
Yes.
In this area, like in the
Fox Cities area,
Yeah.
which also up to Green Bay.
I'd like to work with. There's a few. Amelia, I would really like to work with. If she's still listening, we've talked about it, doing some, maybe trying to write together. I'm just a huge fan of her songwriting and her style. Nick Gonnering is another. I haven't. Yeah, I really like his music, and I haven't even seen him perform in too long. But he's a great writer. He does interesting things, and yeah, because of Kurt, really, encouraging the three of us to work together. I've realized that I really like writing with other people. It's fun. So yeah, I'd like to write with.
If it works, sometimes it's difficult, but I don't know if I could write with a stranger, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like they do in Nashville or whatever, like,
Right.
I have a writing appointment at 1:00 with so-and-so.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could do that. I've always thought Sean from Sister Winchester would be a fun person to work with. Nicholas Raymond would be on my list of people that I would like to work with. There's a lot of folks, but yeah. Those are two that come to mind.
Nicholas Raymond was, I think, the only person that came to mind. And I think Just besides being a fantastic drummer and singer, I just like to start like a space rock band where I can play electric guitar with lots of delay and weird stuff. But he's pretty busy already.
Yeah.
How many projects are you in, Tom? Because you're probably up there too.
I just
We
have
Kurt was 5, right?
Six.
Six.
Yeah.
If you count the three of us.
So I guess technically, yeah, if I count the three of us as one, then I guess I got to count solo, me, and then my trio, then Jay Stulo band, Kurt Gunn band, and I've got some gigs coming up at the end of the year with the Glam band.
Oh, let's not leave out Hank's caboose.
That's news. to me.
Yeah.
Glam.
Actually, there's
Are
one
you
weekend.
I missed
There's
that.
one weekend
Are
where
you wearing stuff? Or are you just gonna go as Tom Thiel? 80s Tom
I don't know
Thiel.
if I should talk about it.
Well, we were talking at the WAMIs. You're kind of the Pete Best of the glam band.
Right. I'd like to remind people that I started the Glam band, or I was one of the original members, way back. But they are in a bind, a real bind. It must be really terrible because I have 2 or 3 shows with them
Wow.
in September. There's one weekend where the Kurt Gunn band is playing. Then I do a glam band gig in Marinette at some festival. Then I'm playing at Oktoberfest with my trio on a Saturday. Then the next Sunday, I'm back with the glam band in Green Bay. So, and I just got to pick out a wig. And
I
Oh my
heard
God, I'm
that. Well, I
going to
went and
this-
had
I'm
coffee
going to
with
these gigs.
Eric Johnson one morning. He was telling me about all that they have, like they have a whole rig of makeup and wigs and costumes, like that they pick. Like, okay, this show we're wearing like we're all doing like 12, and then you open drawer number 12 and there's
Right.
all your stuff. And,
they had to rub it in. I went and saw them somewhere last summer, and it was pretty much like, when I was in the glam band, I don't know, I had some stupid wig that I found at Goodwill and maybe some old leather pants that were probably mine originally. But they had to show me the RV, and they had makeup people. They have cases for all their fans that blow on the stage. They're all tiger striped. They have multiple sets of matching outfits. Trailer, huge drum riser. They've got those spark machines. It's just turned into such a huge
wasn't
production.
Eric Johnson the Pete Best of Boxcar?
I believe so. Yeah, like way back.
It's like a circle.
Yeah.
The Pete Best Circle.
Is there a song that was hard to learn for the set for the glam band?
I haven't learned it yet.
That an interesting.
Oh.
But there is one, right?
Back-
That's hard.
Back in the day, like all the
Well, no, is there one right now that you already knew everything?
there's so many that I don't know. I mean, now they do a lot more of the polished 80s
It
stuff.
was interesting. So the Whammies, they chose like a Def Leppard ballad, which I was hoping they were going to come out and glam it up.
Right? Yeah. They should have done some Iron Maiden or some Wasp or something like that.
I think it was a time thing. Like they only had like 6 minutes to perform or something. I remember just talking to Eric a little bit about it, but yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with Def Leppard, right?
But you could.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Staying silent.
Sorry, Def Leppard.
Yeah, we're kind of a little over time. Hopefully you guys don't have any thing to do today. But the local scene around here, there's so much. Let's talk about just all the different outlets. You've got Into the Music. You've got Homebrewed. You've got like Zip Code Zero, everything at Code Zero Radio. You've got like Bino and the Mayor up in Green Bay. And just they feature artists every Friday. And there's just a ton of stuff here. Kurt, I think a couple of years ago, we were talking, and there wasn't a lot going on in Green Bay. Now it seems like Tar Light is making things happen up there.
Yeah, he's doing a real nice job of trying to bring a little culture to the area with his music fest, all bands on deck, and then this new thing, that Kirk Gunn band actually played at the Tarleton that night of the snowstorm. Remember that? Yeah, that was like kind of right when they opened. At the Tracks, it's come a long way. I kind of turned my back on Green Bay for a huge chunk of time because I played there, like that's where I started, and I played there and I tried to push original, and it just didn't work, and that's when I kind of moved to where I started playing where I was going to be, I guess, appreciated, or where I would go over at least. Like I used to have people applaud when I said I was going to take a break. It's like I don't want to put myself in front of that situation every weekend. So yeah, but
I think it's come a long way.
It has. Come a really long way.
I honestly play more in Brown County than I do down here. There's places like Paradise North Distillery and Station One Brewery, Levy.
Station One's great. Yeah.
Levy Tavern.
Well, I mean, technically that's De Pere,
Brown County.
But yeah,
I mean, it's there's more places like that. And they're not like true listening rooms. They're breweries, distilleries, bars.
But they're okay with original music.
They're
and back
specifically
then
booking original
they were
music,
not okay
yes.
with it. Like I would have to lie and say that I was playing. I would play one of my songs and say, "Here's an old Bob Seger song." And
you still do that?
I do still do that. That's fun. But now I do it for fun, not for my life.
Tyler SJ, I think I saw the comment later, but he said, "Well, you could." I don't know what he's talking about, but Tyler, how you doing? So as far as the Appleton scene is going, there's just more and more festivals. It seems like there's more, like music is more of a kind of go-to thing for people trying to raise awareness. Do you think it's ever going to get to a point where there is too much music and people are going to start picking and choosing what they attend?
I think it's teetering on that point right now, if we're being honest. There's just so much going on any given night, between Appleton Beer Factory and Gibson, and even Ledgestone Vineyards is getting some huge name acts in, where it's tough. Like even to try to do something like, we're gonna set up a release show or whatever. You have to actually look at what's going on around there and be like, well, this isn't going to work because, this is going on here. Stone Arch owns a Tuesday, and Courtyard owns Wednesday, and this owns, Monday, and you run out of places and times, and then you're competing against each other, and
It's an embarrassment of riches, honestly, in Appleton. Eric, who does Fox Cities Live, he always, every week, he posts like a list of just like the events that are going on in Appleton, and I think occasionally he goes outside of there, but it's just like this. It's like a novel every week, and it's like so many great artists, and if places, get enough attendance with the amount of music that's going on now, great. I think when it starts to teeter would be when people stop showing up, right? But it's hard to overstate, I think, how
we're spoiled,
lucky we are in Appleton to have what we do have, for original music. And every time a touring act comes through, Gibson or Appleton Beer Factory, wherever else, they talk about it. They can't believe what they're seeing in this town. So yeah, we're very spoiled and lucky.
And they'll get a local opener for those events, which I think is cool.
Have you guys had to say no to a lot of stuff in the last year?
No. I'd like to get asked a little bit more often, possibly. But I really like how Appleton, the whole culture, has been kind of like become a music mecca thing. Like even yesterday at noon, there was music in I don't know if it was Houdini Plaza or Jones Park. It's like a making music week downtown, and Monday nights Basil's. It's like even the off nights there's choices, which is unheard of. So it's really cool.
Michael doesn't turn down any shows. He will. It's true. If someone calls from the phone booth and says, "Will you come here and play in this phone booth?" he'll say yes.
I'm trying to be a little.
I've
bit
had
more,
to yell at him a few times.
Trying to be a little bit
Michael,
more.
what are you
selective.
doing that?
There's been some interesting gigs, and I'm trying to be more selective. I don't know.
Well, it's got to be hard
not
too
to be
because
in
you're worried about oversaturation and when do you want to get everybody to come out and see your show? Which ones are you going to push? Maybe I won't push this one. Maybe I'll wait to push the album release. But
I've actually noticed it's better to play less is more when it comes to playing in Appleton. I think I kind of play a lot in Green Bay area, but more and more all around the state. And if I play in Appleton less frequently, more people show up. That's something that I've been learning as I go on.
But that's true. Like when Kurt Gunn band plays, it's more of a rare thing. Like we play one or two shows a year, so I'll find that you get a good draw because people haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
is there anybody you don't want to collaborate with?
No, I want to. I'm open to any and all collaboration. It's a great question.
I'm not touching that. Yeah. I'll just say yes, but I'm not gonna say who.
Is there a place that you haven't played yet that you'd like to play?
Oh, go ahead.
Appleton Beer Factory. I have not played there yet, and I only hear. I mean, I've been to some shows there, and it's always great. And I haven't done it yet, and I would like to.
Yeah, it is a fun place to play, and Levi Bisa runs sound there, and he's excellent.
Does a phenomenal job.
Great. That sounds awesome. And and I appreciate you guys doing this. We are way over time. Can we just plug what you have coming up? And again, lots of new releases. Tom's going to this phone, and Kurt's going to this phone.
I guess
You want me to?
tomorrow I'll be in Wausau at the 400 block, right in the downtown. It's kind of their like Appleton's Houdini Plaza thing. Friday I am at the Fin and Feather with the Jay Stulo Band. Fin and Feather. Saturday morning I'll be at the Automobile Museum in Green Bay. And Saturday night I'll be at the Northern Bay Resort in Arkdale.
Was that place on Washington? And,
right down by the river.
That's cool.
When
And
is,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
No,
Michael.
go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you've got, any official single release date or any date for. No,
I do not. I'll get my shit together.
you need to get a manager. I think.
I do. I need
Amelia.
Sean. I'm going to borrow Sean.
For me, I released a single today. It's available on all the streaming platforms, so go listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever. And I actually have a rare week where I have 2 Appleton shows. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at Mad Apple, the billiards hall. They're doing a Wednesday night music series, so I'll be there from 7 to 9:30 tomorrow night. And then on Sunday, on Father's Day, I will be at Hop Yard, which is a really cool place in Appleton on Northland, and that is an afternoon set. I think it starts at 1. I'm 99% sure.
I'm playing at Station 1 on Thursday with Girl in the Gun. That's in Swamico, in an old fire station. It's awesome.
It's a great
awesome
venue. Great venue.
Friday, I am at Fox River House doing a set with Sinking Lessons, which is Levi Besaw's band. Then I have in here Saturday, Mile Thing, Girl in the Gun. That's the Crystal Ballroom
Cool.
show. Yeah, that's all I got. Next couple next week, Zimbaldi and Alloway, which is Green Bay, and Paradise North.
Zimbaldi is another great Green Bay venue that does exclusively original music.
And I put out a single from South Facing a few weeks ago, and I'm hoping to put out a single from North Facing here soon. Yeah.
Which song?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got one more question on the
Okay.
show. How do you guys feel about writing biographies for your press releases?
Oh,
I hate it. I really hate it. Yeah. Short and sweet.
yeah. I couldn't even write my own bio. I had Matty Day write mine.
He's a good writer.
Yeah, he is a very good
Your
writer.
bio's
That's why I
great.
asked.
I've always wondered.
That's because Matty Day wrote it.
I just hate trying to write it in third person.
Right.
Like I'm
Thiel.
fooling anyone.
Tom was born in...
Yeah.
Christopher Golde is really great too.
He's a good writer.
Yeah, I
Like
for some
writer,
reason
like songwriter, but like
Yeah.
writer
Yeah.
too.
Did you
It just
think about
stands
maybe
out.
taking his and just taking his name out and putting Michael Grabner wherever it says
There's
Chris
an
Cole?
idea. There's an idea.
Holy moly.